Hello and welcome to the David Kurten Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Wednesday and this is today's News Talk TNT. Now, of course, we know there is a migrant crisis in the English Channel, as there is in the United States, in the southern border. But if you live in the UK, you are probably feeling the effects of it. It has long been suspected that there has been an arrangement between the British and the French governments to escort migrants across in these small dinghies coming illegally with people traffickers. They pay people traffickers a number of thousands of euros in order to get in a dinghy. They get escorted to Dover or somewhere where they're landed and get taken by bus to a nice four-star hotel. But yesterday, we have incontrovertible evidence that this is the case. A radio communication between the captain of a British cargo ship and the Coast Guard in Dunkirk was intercepted, recorded, and it's been taken up by a number of news outlets today. The conversation is extraordinary. It goes like this. The captain started his reporting of an incident to the Coast Guard in Dunkirk by saying, I would like to report what is an illegal operation in your waters. This morning, we witnessed a French government vessel and a French Navy warship escort a boat load of illegal immigrants across the channel to the midway point where they handed them over to another ship out of Dover. This was a border force ship, which, as we know, is meeting people and escorting and carrying illegal migrants to Dover. It has now arrived there. Now I have the French warship passing under my stern, so that's to the left, passing another boatload of immigrants across the channel. There is also another French vessel to the west of us, which is escorting a third boat of migrants. This is not a search and rescue. This is illegal trafficking of humans. And the response from the Coast Guard to the ship was to say that there is an arrangement between the London and Paris governments for the French Navy to escort migrant boats towards Britain. So that is an actual conversation that took place, evidence there that there is actually an agreement. This is all being planned at the highest level. And the only response from the UK government and the Home Office is that this shows that we need to implement the Rwanda scheme quickly in order to sort the problem out, which, of course, we know is completely ridiculous. The Rwanda scheme has been on the table for 2 years. Not a single person has gone. We've given the government of Rwanda £120 million. Doesn't look like anything's going to happen. The bill is still being ping-ponged through Parliament between the Commons and the Lords. And even if it does get a royal assent, there can be challenges to this in the High Court, in the European Court of Human Rights again, because we're still in the ECHR, and Rishi Sunak, as we know, keeps on saying, oh, we might come out of the ECHR sometime in the future, but while we're still in it, there's nothing we can do. And here we find out that they are deliberately escorting migrants across the channel, all the same time while saying they need to do more to tackle human people trafficking. And we've given £500 million to France, to the French police, in order to try to stop migrants crossing the channel. And all the time, there is an arrangement in place that the French Coast Guard clearly knows about. The other thing the UK government says, the fake Conservative government and the Home Office, which they run at the moment, is that they're saying that we've been so successful in cutting the number of people coming across the boats by 1/3 last year. Well, the thing about that is the highest ever number was in 2022. 2023, there was a third fewer migrants coming across, but that wasn't due to the efforts of the Home Office or the Border Force or the Royal Navy or the French police. It was because of the weather. We had a really stormy, rough, wet winter, particularly the last 3 months of last year, 2023, which pretty much stopped shipments across the English Channel for a couple of months. So where there are usually a lot of people coming over in October, November, there were very, very few last year. That's why there were fewer migrants, but there were still 29,000 coming across in small boats in 2023, which is the second highest level ever. So he can say, Rishi Sunak, I'm talking about, can say, oh, this was a great success. But what he's basically saying is like someone making a massive mess in a fly tip and then clearing away 10% of it. And it says, look, aren't I wonderful? I've cleared up a little bit of the mess of the fly tipping I've made, but I've left 90% there. That's essentially what he's saying. And this year, of course, up to now, the number of migrants have come across in small boats across the English Channel illegally in 2024 is 6,265. 434 in one day. Sorry, 534 in one day at the weekend. So we are on course again for the highest level ever, a record number coming over in 2024. If things continue in the same vein and it's extrapolated, we will have more coming over this year in 2024 than the highest ever so far, which was 2022, in which just under 46,000 migrants came across illegally in small boats across the Channel. And we have 130,000 in the UK still waiting to be processed as they put through their asylum claims. I would suggest the vast majority of them are bogus because they are mostly military-aged men coming from a safe country called France, and they don't need to be here because their life is not in danger. And where are the women and children? Genuine migration flows where people are really in danger and fleeing for their lives are mostly women and children. Here we have mostly men. It's clearly all bogus, and it's clearly now proven to be facilitated at the highest level. So we need to get rid of these fake conservative deceivers at the next general election. This is today's News Talk, TNT.
Going 360 on the headlines.
It's really well-balanced conversation.
Today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
You're watching the David Kurten Show here on today's News Talk TNT. Gemma Cooper is with me to talk about the latest in the UK news headlines. Gemma, welcome. What's going on today?
Well, it's funny, your editorial actually ties in with Rishi Sunak, with something Rishi Sunak said just a few hours ago. He was asked about whether the RAF would be deployed with the Rwanda scheme, as it's it's not been passed as law yet, although we're keeping a very close eye on that in the Commons this week. But of course, the RAF involvement in Israel has led people to ask this morning, well, will you use our RAF jets or planes to take people to Rwanda? He wouldn't be drawn on it. But once again, he said the same rhetoric as you've just been illustrating. My priority, he said, is to stop the boats. That's all I'm interested in. We must stop the boats. In terms of fairness, in terms of the British public, we must stop the boats. And it's just this parroted out line, isn't it, which does grab headlines. This has grabbed headlines within the last couple of hours, stop the boats, stop the boats. But as you clearly say, there is another agenda and agreement here going on behind the scenes, which you only find out about when we see reports like this from the ship's captain. So yeah, say one thing and do another. But he's been saying it again this morning. His priority, David, is to stop the boats. So maybe he should be listening into TNT and hearing what we've got to say about it.